Good morning, everyone. I'm Adianto Prakoso, Professor OSM student, and today I'm going to present my mind mapping about the corporate finance lesson that I went throughout the 8 weeks of studying. Enjoy! In week 1, I learned about GCG principles. In GCG principle, it consists of fairness, transparency, accountability, responsibility, and independency. Now, let's move on to the next part, which is 5 pieces essential. In order to grow your business, there are 5 pieces essential that need to be get up, which is cash, profit, margin, growing responsibility, and customer focus. Next one is vacancy for cornerstone of corporate finance. There are 4 cornerstones that need to be looked up, especially for creating a value. The first one is the core value principle, which is a value is different by return on capital and growth, also cash flows. Second one, conservation of value principle. You can create value by arranging claims on the cash flows. And then the third one, expectation value principle. The more investor expect of your share price, the better you must perform to keep it up. Next one, based on a principle. A basis value depends upon its owner capabilities. That's what I can say about the week 1 lesson. Now let's move on to the week 2. Okay, now I'm going to explain lesson that I learned from week 2. In week 2, I learned about Rule of 72. Rule of 72 is a rule that can help investor to calculate how long it will take for investment to double given by the fixed annual rate of interest. The key point for this rule is doubling. Now the lesson I learned, which is about the suitable reason on investment. In investment, you must pick a suitable reason why you chose to invest on that company. So in this one, I picked 4 important lessons, or maybe 4 important reasons. The first one, choosing a company that because by preference. Whenever you choose a company to be stock, you must not choose because I love to buy the product, I love to consume the product. Because if you check the macroeconomic and the financial performance, it will be different than what you expected. So the second reason is, as I said before, taking the external factors such as the company influence on the macroeconomic. If the company influence on the macroeconomic is quite good, or maybe quite decent, I think it would be a good idea for you to invest on that company. The third one, check the annual report and the financial performance more than 5 years, or at least minimum 5 years. Why? Because if you see the performance in 10 years or maybe 5 years, it's consistently or maybe have a potential growing, or the performance is quite good, I think you can invest on it. The last one, sometimes company who get a good award is not always suitable for investing. For example, company A get a award on the best company in environment. However, if you check the financial performance, the company is not really good on managing the asset, for example. So I think if you want to choose the company, as I said before, you must check the financial report and the annual report, and then also check the external factors such as the company influence on the economic. So that's all I have to say about the week 2 lesson. Now let's jump into the week 3, shall we? So in week 3, I learned financial ratio. In financial ratio, there are 4 types of it, which is profitability, liquidity, activity, and leverage ratio. The first one, profitability. Profitability ratio is a ratio to measure how well the company can generate their revenue or profit. For example, is return on asset, return on investment, and return on equity. The second one, liquidity ratio. Liquidity ratio is a financial ratio to measure how well the company can pay the obligation or debt. For example, current ratio and cash ratio. The third one, activity ratio. So activity ratio is financial ratio to measure how well the company can manage their asset, especially on generating revenue. For example, fixed asset turnover and total asset turnover. Last one, Leverage ratio. Leverage ratio is a financial ratio to measure the total debt of the company. For example, debt to equity. So let's move on to the second topic, which is basic fundamental analysis. In basic fundamental analysis, we learn that it is a method to evaluate the intrinsic value of the asset and analyzing the factor that could influence the price in the future. There are three types of it, which is domestic and global economic analysis, industry analysis, and lastly, company analysis. We also learn, or maybe I also learn about how to calculate capital budgeting with my groupmate, which is together with profit, or in this one is TVP. Sadly, in this mini case or case study that being given related with capital budgeting, we get our answer. That's all I have to say about week 3. Now, let's move on to the week 4. So, in week 4, I learned about portfolio theory. So, if you wonder, what is portfolio theory? Portfolio theory is a financial approach that focuses on minimizing risk or maximizing return by combining assets with different risk characteristics into a diversified portfolio. So in portfolio theory, as you mentioned before, we talk about risk. So what are types of risk? The first one is total risk, second one systematic risk, and third one unsystematic risk. So let's start with systematic risk. So what is systematic risk? Systematic risk is a risk that happen by the external factor such as inflation, while unsystematic risk is the risk that happens inside the company such as location risk or maybe operation risk. Now, in the risk theory, there are some interesting insight, which is high risk, high return, low risk, low return, no risk, risk free. So let's move on to the next one, which is capital asset pricing model or CAPM. In CAPM, we learn how to calculate the cost of equity. The cost of equity consisted of risk-free rate plus beta times equity risk premium. How do we get equity risk premium? By subtract the market return with risk-free rate. That's all I can say about week 4. Now let's move on to the week 5. In week 5, I learned about capital structure. Capital structure is the combination of debt and equity financing company used to finance operations. It's also a key concept in financial management because it affects company cash flow, risk, capital, and value. I also discussed about optimal capital structure. So, what is optimal capital structure? Optimal capital structure is by higher debt ratio. Now let's talk about the expected cost of financial distress. So, what are the three factors that affect the expected cost of financial distress? First, volatility of cash flow higher, fixed asset lower, and interest. All of those will impact the lower debt ratio. Now, let's move on to the financial distress. In financial distress, there are several steps before bankruptcy, which is early impairment, and then deterioration of performance, and then move to the cash flow problem, and then failure of delivering the revenue, and then move to the default or before it go to the insolvency process, and lastly, the company went bankrupt. So is there any way to prevent it? Yes. Based on the case that Mr. Roy or Professor Roy Sambo thought about us in this corporate finance, there are some ways to make the business survive and transform their business model. So here are the steps. First, stop the bleeding, then financial restructuring, and then temporary pivoting. Afterward, strategic realigning, and then redefining the core business, and lastly, new ways of doing the businesses. So that's all I can say about the week 5. Now let's move on to the week 6. In week 6, I learned about the managed to revise the price and the value for the AGO big one, which is the tax benefit structure, if it's complete elimination, if it's too much free cash flow, and elimination of the conglomerate discount. Now, let's move on to the next part, which is fraud prevention. So how do we prevent fraud in the company? First, the ethics. Second, right, SOP has to be followed for prevention. Third, train employees to increase the awareness of the fraud. Fifth, system. There are 4 types of incentive, which is physical. It can be like giving the owner, for example, a coupon or maybe a physical reward like a food after doing a good job. And then second one, social, is related to maybe giving recognition, related to that. And the rest will monetary, of course, related with raising the payment, raising the wages. And then rest will more is related to the social. Let's say for week 6. Now let's jump to week 7. In week 7, me and my groupmate make a movie review, which is Other People's Money, starring Danny DeVito. In this movie, we learn some interesting things, which is first, reference to certain refer is good, but do not debt free. Second, decreasing the share price or too low of share price is bad. And the third one, when evaluating the company, we need to see all the variables including the initial needed, tax benefit, the maintenance of the capex, and many more. The rest one, we need to be able to perform with the current market condition, especially willing to exit from the comfort zone. In the week 7, we also learn about movie from the Wall Street, especially from the Golden Gecko quote. So this quote related with that greed is good. Why greed is good? Because greed is a drive for people to move forward, people to strive to be better. So that's what I can say about related with the movie. Now let's jump into the ethical and unethical, legal and illegal. So in this case, hopefully given several example of legal is unethical, illegal, ethical, and many more. So that's what I can say about week 7. Now let's move on to the week 8. In the final week, I learned about why company pay dividend policy. So there are some factors influencing it, which is past dividend risk, big restriction, impact of the cycle, company financial policy, and many other factors. So let's move on to the corporate event analysis presentation that being made by me and my group mate, which is together with profit, as I already mentioned before. So in this one, we take Bukalapak as the main topic for the analysis, and in summary, Bukalapak is a company that used to be unicorn in 2017. However, as time goes on, the company couldn't compete with their competitors. Even though they used the burning money strategy, they still couldn't compete with Tokopedia, Shopee, and Lazada. Eventually, in 2035, Bukalapak forced to change their business model to only selling token. So after hearing about Bukalapak case, let's move on to the final topic, which is the stock valuation analysis. So the stock valuation analysis, the stock simulation that I conducted, which is I invested on PT Fail Indonesia Tbk. As you can see, the starting price is 370.10. Eventually, as time goes on, which is the ending price is on the 14 Jan 2035, it decreased into 6,956, which conclude that PT Fail Indonesia didn't have a significant growth in the stock. And even though I chose PT Fail Indonesia because of their sustainability award, but when you invest on it, it doesn't have a significant or good performance. Instead, it's only decreasing. So that's all I can say about the week 8 question that I want for corporate finance class. So, thank you very much. So that's all I have to say about my map presentation about for example corporate finance class. If you enjoy, please give it a like and thank you very much.